Please support this channel by subscribing and leaving comments. Stay well, stay safe.
Now, is there any questions?
Oodles of them.
There's been a lot of talk about, for instance, from the writer Krantz. He seems to think we ought to go out and shoot a Bigfoot and chop off his head and chop off his feet and things like that for souvenirs. I'd like to hear your opinion on guns and what you think about violence directed towards a Bigfoot.
Well, basically, the best way to get along in this earth is to be peaceable, not to be out chopping at everything and killing and harming things. And you can, I'm sure, in my experience, you can get, I can do it, I'm sure, if I got time left. Get on the good side of several Sasquatches. I'm sure I could on one that I've already been pretty close to. And I could be on the good side of that thing and feel safe with it in the mountains. Maybe I could roam around with it some out there and sit and talk or count toes or something. I don't know. You know, and when you get them friendly like that, you could have probably no problem at all getting them used to a tape recorder or a good camera and take a few pictures and get enough by being kind to them get enough information and proof, and finally have another guy come in, and so several people get to be with him, and maybe 2 or 3 more Sasquatches come in and can, you know, just kind of learn to be a friendly group and not have to cut one up. But if you want to get it into a college laboratory, well, that's the easiest way to do it, is to take it in on a slab, I suppose. But as far as getting one of these things in your gun sight, it might be just as hard as it is to get one on a camera sight. And if you don't hit them just right, you might not get back out of the woods. There has been several people already that known to have, after they got shook up and took a shot at one, they didn't really do it in. And those guys were never seen again. And one of these happened at the same area that I had seen that one on a Cornell River. I had seen it from my canoe when I'd been up close to it. Looked it over at 20 feet. And I had no trouble with it. I had no gun. I didn't try to feed it. I just looked at it and left. But this other guy went in that area with a 270 Winchester, and he's going to come out with a moose. And his friends decided he wasn't going because he had heard there was grizzlies in that area too, and he was going to stay at the truck. Well, the guy went in by himself, and they don't know what happened. They never heard a shot. Of course, that's a big country, and you could be back off in the timber quite a way, and the other guy could be inside the truck and never hear the shot. And they never did find this man that went in there. And he was in the same area that I had seen this Sasquatch from my canoe. Well, they sent in Canadian Army. They had all kinds of people in there, officers and all, and they had that country gone over with helicopters and everything. And so they come up with his hat, all torn to pieces. Now another place, there was a miner going up a creek over here in Washington, the North Fork of Tucson, where they were, a couple miners were fooling around in there taking out some gold. And the one wanted to go on up and dig some more, and the other was going to get supper ready. And when it went up to dig some more, he carried a sidearm with him, a good big one. I don't know what caliber it was. It was probably a Magnum or something, but he felt safe. He went up there, and he never come back for supper. This guy was armed, see? Well, I could have went in the same area without a damn gun, and I probably would have come back for supper. If I didn't have a Sasquatch yet, I don't think I'd have any trouble with it. I haven't had so far.
With all the sightings you've had, David, how come you never bring a camera along?
Did I say that?
Did you ever take pictures?
Sometimes it's in my pack sack.
You see him mostly at night.
Sometimes I'm not figuring on seeing them. And sometimes I've got it there and they disappear just damn quick. They make a move.
So you have taken pictures of them?
No,
You never did?
no. It's not easy, you know. Sometimes you just get a glimpse.
Yeah.
They're disappearing around behind the tree. You see some bushes with them. You know you saw them. You couldn't get your camera out of here or off your neck or anywhere.
Well, when you spotted this one down on the Columbia River here,
Yeah.
that last sighting,
Yeah, I wasn't looking for Bigfoot. I was on Highway 14, not even expecting to see anything like that, you know. And I'm going to some deal I was working at up at White Salmon. And when I come back, I looked over there and there wasn't nothing like that there by that tree. Well, anyway. Well, you got my word on me.
What, in your opinion, is
Well,
Bigfoot? What is it? Is it an animal? Is it, what is it?
In my own mind, I rated it as a humanoid. And its brain hasn't been developed along the same lines as ours has. It is really smart as far as, you know, making a living in the mountains and staying out of sight and staying away from people that are hunting and knows they've got rifles. And one thing they do, if you see one and you haven't got anything with you, like a knife or maybe you got a pack, but maybe your camp is nearby. If you turn and walk towards your camp, just a second you turn, you'll leave now and fast. You're going towards your camp. You go the other way. Well, you know you haven't got anything over there, they're going to watch you, you know. Well, they'll stick around better. If you make one move towards your car or your camp, or where you might have a weapon or something, or reach for something on the ground, they'll leave right quick. But otherwise, if you're behaving yourself, they'll stay there and watch you. And you think, well, if I had a camera, I could have took a picture for a half an hour. Maybe you couldn't. Maybe when you start going in your pocket or start getting this camera up there, and you might suddenly realize that he's gone. They say, people that have seen them leave say that they move faster than anything they have ever seen in the woods. And we know they can outrun a deer, so we know they're pretty fast. So I know of a guy named Hastings that when he was a boy living in the mountains of California, they used to take a rifle on a saddle horse without the saddle. Two boys would get on bareback and they'd head for a meadow out in the back country. And they'd pick off a deer, they might throw a rope on it and drag it home. And they'd get released that way. And so one day they're approaching this meadow, and the horse was noticing some kind of noise to one side of the trail coming through this brush. And they're just getting to where they could see the meadow. And all of a sudden, some brush snapped, and the deer took off out of that brush, heading right out in that meadow, as fast as he could go. And Sasquatch right after him. And the horse swapped ends and went back to the ranch. They said we had a time sticking on. But we did get to see that. We looked back and we saw that Sasquatch was gaining on that deer right across that neck. That was slow, you know. They're really careful. They're out there before you are, and they know you're coming in the woods, and they figure it out, and they get on the high side of the trail, or they get behind a big tree or something, they know about where you're going to go. And if they've seen you go by a dozen or more times, they might follow you, but they won't follow you on the trail. You can't look back and see what's following you, you aren't following on the trail. They quite often have a trail of their own in the bush, off 20 or 30 feet off the main trail. And they can come sliding along in that without making much noise except their feet driving through some bear grass or something. I've been followed that way for 3/4 of a mile. That one that I last saw. she finally showed up where I was putting poles in my teepee, and I got to see her real good. But when I turned and went back to my teepee, I knew she was going to leave. I didn't even look back at her. I just went down and finished my job, and the sun was going down. I didn't have no camera that day. And get caught without one so many times.
Have they ever, swum in water, the rivers, or has there always been sightings in the woods? Maybe they swim, do they don't walk?
They, from other people's stories, I haven't seen them in the water myself. Other people's stories said that they are expert swimmers, and one was seen dove in a deep hole on a Road River and disappeared in a deep hole, and the guys were on the cliff looking. You never did see that where it went to. So finally, down the rapids, they've been watching this whole end of the rapids. There was a cottonwood tree hanging down into the river, and saw it sneaking up behind it. Leaves of the trees going up the bank into the woods. And that's pretty good. It takes a pretty good swimmer to pull that one off.
So they don't eat meat?
Oh yeah, they catch deer and rabbits and all this stuff. And pikas and what's called mountain beavers. And with the opinion, I can't prove it, but I know beavers, real beavers, come up missing when these characters have been around. You see beaver dams and beaver houses until they're working the area, and pretty soon that's all they're not working anymore.
Do they eat people?
What's that?
Do they eat people?
Not unless you force them to.
Do they like little boys? Do they like to eat little boys?
Yeah, you wait till they get pretty good size. Anyhow, they do not hurt people unless people, you get this, youngster,
Listen.
young fella? They don't hurt people until people try to hurt them first. You wouldn't want to hurt one, would you? No. Then they won't bother you. And I haven't got no proof that they wouldn't. They probably, like some people, just take funny notions sometimes and maybe do the wrong thing.
David, can we take a 10-minute break for the smokers to have a smoke?
Yeah, yes.
And also, I'd like to certificate of membership for you to hang on your wall. We have these made up special, and I'd like to give that to you, Datus. You're an official lifetime member for as long as we last. I hope you And also, before we go, and if you'd like to stay longer and talk to us some more, we'd sure like to. But one of the people that have really helped me out most is Roy Caddy. Roy? Front and center. Roy has done put up a lot of these things here on the walls, and gone by and painted them, and I gave him a chore of putting up maps, but he spent all the time looking at them and getting them up, so I finally had to come down and do that too. Anyway, Roy, yeah, I'd like to give you one of these things for you to hang on your wall too. Meanwhile, there's a restroom right at the top of the stairs to the left. And probably there's a nice one over at Burgerville too, and they have these neat root beer float specials for 69 cents. Right. Anyway, we'll go ahead and take a 10-minute break to give the smokers a chance to dialogue.
I know, if they're getting ready to do
It's going down in the area I come from, and they have all these rancher people out. It's mostly what do you call that stuff? Open range country.
Are they just
range
range
land. They roam everywhere. There's no fences or anything. So, anyways, we went to my friend who was with his grandfather and his uncle and his grandfather and uncle and these ranchers out there, way out deep on the Clonic Marsh, on a place called Wilkes Bay. And we stopped there early in the morning. We were on the way to our camp. This was like about 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. we got in there, his wife, we just, she said, I can't recall what his name is, but John, for instance, she said, John's out and, he's out in the bay. Out in
Can I get
Locust
out of
Bay."
it? I want to go there with this.
And he was out in Locust Bay, so it was all flat grassland. We had a suburban 4x4, we can just drive out in the grassland. He drove out there in a 3-wheeler, and then followed his tracks out through the large prairie grass that they have growing out there. And you see the 3-wheel tracks rolling all like that. So we followed his tracks out there, and we followed him back into Locust Bay about a quarter mile to where the ranch was. And this is, we had pulled up there. He had just shot. He's a rancher that raises large prize cattle. He had just shot a large black Angus cow. I don't know if you're familiar with how big black Angus are, but they're better than a ton. Okay, and we had got up there, and he'd asked us to all get in, pitch in, and help roll it over. So it was me, my friend, another person, his father, and his grandfather, and a rancher guy. We had all took the muscle as much as we could and rolled this cow over. And we rolled it over to the other side, and that's when it became apparent why he had shot the creature, was because one whole hind quarter of his back leg, one whole hind quarter, his whole, let's see, he was laying on his left side, his whole right side of his leg was completely gone. It was still, the cow was still alive when he had gotten to it. Okay, and it was not a hunter's knife, it was ripped tear. It came from the hind quarter, up part of the rib cage, the guts and stuff was hanging out the anal end of the animal. You know, and I said, well, what happened here? You know, what's going on? You know, who's stealing this cow's leg and why is she doing this and stuff? You know, the old timers, they don't talk that much kind of stuff amongst anybody or bully anybody or anything, even amongst each other. They just say, oh, come on, you know what did this, you know, and they go, well, yeah, you know, we have to ask everybody. I'm like standing here and I'm like, oh, what happened? What happened? My friend, you know, which was his father and grandfather, you know, said, oh, Bigfoot. I said, Bigfoot, no, come on, what is this, you know? He says, no, that's what you're talking about. He says, I hear it all the time. And I says, well, okay. He says, so I left it in my mind that until my second experience after that, I left it in my mind, you know, I was open-minded, you know, something took this cow's leg. I didn't know what. I wasn't quite in the belief that it could be Bigfoot, even though I did not disbelieve in Bigfoot, but it was just the aspect of, you know, actually being there, witnessing it, you know, feeling like around in the rush of, you know, situations. And then, you know, when you get on that situation, it's hard to think what to make, you know.
Would a grizzly bear or a cougar be responsible for anything like that?
A very large polar bear could possibly do the same thing, but it would chew. It wouldn't rip. This leg was grabbed and yanked off the body. It wasn't clawed, it wasn't bit, it wasn't torn. It was torn, but it was torn right out of the socket, along with part of the skin. Like I said, it went from the hind quarter, went up part of the rib cage, you know, the muscles and hind quarter tore it out. You know, half of his guts was hanging out. You know, I hate to be so drastic, but that's the way it was. It was hanging out his rear end area.
No, I didn't disbelieve you. I just wanted to say it for the camera. And now we've eluded all those other animals. There's only one thing left. You're being paid.
Clint, you're not supposed to have that thing on. I thought you were not.
I'm not being But I left my mind open to think what it might be, or what it could possibly be. But after my second, what would you call it? Experience that had happened to me out there, convinced me without a doubt that my friend was telling me the truth.
You didn't get convinced, really.
Part of the skull, found in France, they don't know what it come off of. Part of the skull is found in France, they don't know where it come off.
I saw that when you flipped it through.
Okay, and that's just enough. It has a cheek.
Yes, a cheek.
Good stuff.
The skull and the jaw are from two different things in here, but they just shot the
No,
picture
that's
screen.
what- that's what-
Can you pick that up, Clint?
So,
See that little scroll thing there?
You might have to zoom it in.
Can you zoom in close enough so you can get the print on that?
Roy, hold your tummy in.
I was gonna say.
No, I did something like that. Yeah.
Well, I can bring that up here a little closer.
You can zoom it.
Might get too close and you can't.
Did you hear me?
Well, it looks like we're all back. Do we want to continue? Did you want to, you're past the time we agreed on, Datus, but we're all really interested if you want to talk on anymore.
Or would you like to sit down?
Well, I think we ought to talk about things and so on, and let everybody get too good in here.
Oh, all right.
Are you tired? You want to sit down? Bring a chair
Yes,
back here.
yeah.
I don't want
All right, okay. And so, as soon as you're ready, then we'll go ahead and let Ryan take over, and we'll have him talk to them. As a matter of fact, Joy has an interesting episode, or are you too embarrassed to talk, or? You're okay.
We're with the big boys now.
Well, I'm just, way back one of my first issues, I wrote about Roy when he was 15 years old, being in a trailer with Rob.
Got it, kid.
And this is Mom.
Oh.
And it'd be interesting to get her side of the story. Excuse me. Excuse me, camera.
We'll let you just sit right there if you want to.
When Bigfoot's going through the country, heading for a certain place, he might change his mind or something, and when he does, he'll leave a mark where he's going. Usually in this country, he'll pick a fir tree, and he'll bend it over, and bend it back, maybe that high above the ground, a tree may be that big, and he'll leave it pointing the direction he's going to go. When the next ones come along, so they don't always travel together. Maybe one guy go ahead or more, and then some more are coming through later. And then he's pointing at where the good fishing is, over like Dugan Creek Falls. I saw this pointer, and I've seen it at my cave job too, where I've seen snow breaking trees over. Snow usually mashes snow. But when they broke right off like this and like that, and then left that way, you can just about bet what did it. And it'll be all like accordion here, but you know how the rings of the wood are, and like a whole stack of pipes. And then it'll kind of accordion this stuff as it bends it back and forth. It'll get wrinkled on both sides. You can tell it went this way and that way, see, and left it that way. And that takes a lot of strength to do something like that, you know. And so they rip these hides off of animals and rip legs off and all that. I've heard about it. I just hope I don't get her leg ripped off. But anyway, they are reading a book that Ray gave me the other day, and it explains a whole lot about why they've got so much strength. And there's different types of digestion systems. Apes and people are about the same. And pigs are different, and cattle are different, and horses, and monkeys, and so on. There's a difference, main differences in the length of the intestines. And then there are other differences like 1 and 2 digestive, first a storage bag, and then a digestive area, and then where it goes on through, and the blood's picking good out of it, and so on. And the digestive system on a bear, being just a horizontal situation, the gut is shorter on a bear. And when everything comes out, it just falls out in a pile. When a man, an apes are down more like this, and going on their hands and bend over. but they have about the same type of digestion system, and the best foods for each one of these has their own types of foods that work the best in that system. And man and Bigfoot and the apes, gorilla, have the same system. And the best food for those characters seem to be, according to the doctors that all have done a lot of experiments, fruit and nuts. Now, if we've gotten into everything else since man came along with fruit and nuts, it's been a detriment to man to widen out and try to digest 400 different kinds of things that aren't really suitable for him. Tomatoes are in a deadly nightshade family. If they're not thoroughly ripened on the vine, you're getting more poison and toxic stuff from fruit or vegetables that are not ripened on the vine. Vegetables, too much roughage for man, really. And eat the fiber, but it don't always come in coarse chunks like a piece of manila rope. What he should do is chew or grind up the vegetables to where he's got it like drinking water. And that should be most of his water intake should come from vegetable juice and fruit juice instead of water from the ground, which has minerals that your system is not geared to handle. If those minerals that are in the water could come to you through the vine and the fruit, and then you drink the juice, you get organic minerals, and you get organic minerals in water, and you would have no detrimental problems from, like iron in water is not easy to digest. You know, it's contrary to what you're rigged for, in other words. So if you just chew your vegetables and spit out the pulp, you're better off. And so it's just like drinking the juice of it, than trying to eat the whole thing. So I've gone on trying to get over to this diet that this guy suggested that you go on fruit juices and vegetable juices and nuts, and trying all kinds of nuts. And I'm telling you, I have changed. I think I'm heading up to it. And
No.
I don't know if he has any more of those books. This year has been an eye-opener to me to read that. And I'm sure that Sasquatch gets a lot of his strength by being on a different diet than we are. And eating raw meat, where we cook our meat, we're doing something to it that's taking the strength out of it. They found out that when the meat is heated over 120 degrees, it is losing a lot of its strength. And vitamins and minerals are killed over 120 degrees, and that's not very hot, is it? A lot of it stayed in there, though, and you get some good out of it. But what you're doing is not getting as much strength as the Bigfoot does when you eat it raw.
Yeah, well, this is fine for Bigfoot, but humans can't do that. We'd be getting trichinosis, all forms of bacteria and salmonellas. That's the reason we're cooking at high temperature.
Bigfoot's population down. Maybe if we did that, we wouldn't have an overpopulated world, huh? Anyway, yeah, that's true. And there's possibly some way of in the future we may say we got microwave cooking, get this hot, maybe there's some other way they can kill that stuff. Toxic and germs and bacteria. I mean, bacteria, some bacteria is good for you, you have to have it. But there's viruses and so on. But maybe we'll find out how to get that stuff out of the way so that we can eat food that somehow we can get more strength out of it than we're getting today. So much things are treated with chemicals and maybe they're being treated with the wrong stuff yet. Sometime in the future they might find out there's some better preservative or better. So I think we're on our way to a better world, but we just haven't got it all together yet.
Is there any proof that, not really proof, but any way of knowing, like when, from your first sightings of Bigfoot to now, do you think there, a lot of populations get smaller as years go by? Generations that people get smaller or bigger? Is there any way of knowing whether they're getting to be, structure-wise bigger or smaller?
It's quite possible that they, and I suspect, they have been doing some interbreeding with man, and in that case they will be getting smaller. And
How do they do that?
interbreeding with man. And,
If they bred with man, some man would have seen them somewhere.
well, I had a female.
Just like the Bigfoot bar and grill.
Yeah, but a male, if he saw a female gorilla, isn't gonna.
She followed me for 3/4 of a mile and stayed behind a big fir tree out of sight and went her foot in bear grass like this. And I kept her foot going and kept that noisy going and trying to get me interested. Well, my dog wasn't interested. It went that way. And I kept on with my work, and then she finally come down closer to my work and watched me from
Somebody.
like the view of that girl there. And stood behind me, had hemlock bound on her face. I could see her crest sticking up above it, and her black eyes. And you had another bow cross in front of her tummy, and she didn't worry about nothing else. But I could see these hooves hanging there on her chest, and I walked up closer. I wanted to be darn sure. Are those really deer hooves? Deer skin hanging there? And I did get close and I could see they were, definitely. And here I am with no camera. I just got my word on it.
This is one up on the Columbia?
No, that was the one up at my shelter up there where I got the cave project.
You mentioned something before about one in California where you saw wearing skins too?
Well, that was a bear that had a skin in it.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to talk about that picture before when you were talking about droppings and so forth, so I thought maybe you wanted...
She came back next year and left this dropping to let me know she'd been around. She left it right near my camp.
Now, you said that she is a female.
I'm sure.
Did she have breasts or?
Oh, yeah, but they weren't, just about like a man's breast. They weren't baggy, but they were not flat. I mean, there they were. But they weren't big.
And she was smaller than
She
the other.
stood like about that high. She was interested in it.
What color?
She was back. She was black. She was black as coal.
Oh, this is black.
And her face was black. And so
So
I just went on with my work, and when I went back, it was like I was going into the shelter while she left, because when I went around, I didn't go in, I went around to the other side and come around and looked up there, and she was gone. But she'd been back since, so I could see her track, see where she worked here and there, near my shelter. And she come back, pooping in there. 2 nights, I and a boy were at the camp and had my big dozy dog in my truck out there now. Had her tight, she wanted to sleep outside. And,
Mike Phillips.
Had her tight to the tent pole with her butt of her around the tent pole. And she, all of a sudden, bunch of barking, looking up like this, barking like crazy. Well, I said, go for it, Bigfoot. I mean, go for it, Dover. And we used to have a dog we called Bigfoot too. A shepherd dog. Anyway. So she barked a couple more times and then she came inside. And she laid down by me. I was in bed in my sack and I didn't get up. And whatever it was left. So next night, the boy and I and all the dogs are inside. The dogs don't want nothing to do about being outside anymore. So along about 1 o'clock in the night, I'm laying there about half awake, kind of expecting something. Now, wouldn't that shake you up a little bit?
Yeah.
Way back in the damn wilderness.
As you said, she smells the tree.
Yeah. And they do that tree stuff quite a bit. And you heard it, Matthew.
Yeah.
And screeching and everything. They put out a heck of a mess of screeching sometimes, but holy cow, what is that, you know? It sounded like about 40 coyotes all in one pile, just all carrying on. I was pretty scared till she finally got, maybe it might have been 2 of them, I don't know, they were sure making a racket. And it got down, the last note or two was pretty sweet. I mean, kind of one like no damn coyote, I don't see it anyway. So, didn't see him. I left. But anyway, that night that I heard that knock, I said, come in, Sasquatch. And that didn't wake the easy guy up inside. And I never heard no more. And I thought of it, the game warden. I wonder what the hell. Expecting Sasquatch for bedtime or something. So anyway, I asked the game warden later, I said, was you up here, be checking on me here a couple months ago? Hell no, I wasn't out here in the middle of the night for nobody. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there. He said,
You said, tell me about it.
When that female did you, how close did she get to you?
Well, she had came down towards my shelter.
Wasn't me.
And I never seen her move.
Sitting beside you.
There she was, standing there, and I walked up toward her. I could have sat on a log or something else. I didn't know too much. I didn't know what I should have done. You know, I could have picked a flower or a leaf or a twig off of a huckleberry bush and held it in my hand. This means among all the apes and chimpanzees, this means common friendship.
Oh, brilliant.
I have no weapon.
She's here too.
No,
I got some more. William,
she has no weapon in that hand either. So he's saying a common friendship, and as you approach him, you might go around a little bit instead of going straight at him. You know, it looks like you're going to go on by or something. But you can put your hand up like that. That means you can kiss my hand. It won't hurt you.
Did you ever see their hands to see if they have a thumb?
Yep. On that one on the Cornell River. She's standing there and I could see that hand so plain. It's hanging and I figured it's 8 inches above the knee. And the thumb was just like that, in tight. And I could see these fingernails, and this was all black like velvet. And this was all black like velvet. There was hair here, black and short. Like 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. It kept getting longer. That tells me that the hair don't pull out, that it snaps off.
Oh, okay.
See? That's what the activity there regulates the length of it.
Right.
So it comes out and snaps off. Splits or snaps off. Or
Wears off.
And it don't come out. So the boys are hunting for hair all the time. nobody has come up with Sasquatch here, and they won't till they bring him in with it. Because it, you know, the little pieces are breaking off. And it was longer wherever there was less activity. Like here, the hair was around 7 inches long, is the way it looked to me.
Yeah.
I might be getting pretty personal, but she went right like a canoe right under there like that. And I was down there looking her over, and I couldn't see no major organs or nothing like that. No. And there she standing there looking at me. The legs are tight together. She, her thumbnails looked like the same color as mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they were alike.
And what shined on that thing?
Several interesting areas. Some of them are outlined in the newsletter number 3, which I'm sure you'll all be anxious to buy one. Speaking of which, there is a donation box back there that's going to help to pay for all this, I hope. So feel free to be generous. And Roy, would you like to tell us of a couple sightings or something, please, so we can get you on tape too?
If you're enjoying all this rare and unique content, please show your support by subscribing and leaving comments. Stay safe, stay well.